y'all. I wanted to start off by introducing myself. My name's Danielle. I am a travel radiation therapist. I am launching a blog called Southern-Nomad that is geared around healthcare travel and any other kind of careers, traveling for fun, leisure, also kind of some lifestyle aspects. But I'm fixing the website up and everything like that, and we'll be launching next week. If you can't tell, by the way, I am out sitting on my dock on Frozen Lake in Wisconsin. So anyway, so I've got my coffee here and jacket and everything. It's a beautiful day, so it's really not that bad. I wanted to start off with my first video about taxes as a travel healthcare professional and what to kind of expect with that. Filing your taxes, what you can expect as far as how much your tax return will be, if it's going to cost you any money, all of the anxieties that are kind of surrounding that subject. So since my blog is not launched quite yet, I wanted to start off with this video so that I can kind of answer some questions regarding taxes. So most people think that you're a 1099 employee as a healthcare traveler, but that's just not true anymore. So what does that mean for you? So a 1099 employee is like a subcontractor, self-contractor, or any kind of employee, use that term pretty loosely, that does not work full-time for an employer and also does not withhold any taxes from their paycheck. They will be paying out taxes come tax season. So that's kind of where a lot of the anxieties begin, is people don't understand, what they can expect when tax season comes around and if they're going to be paying out or getting anything back. That was one of my main anxieties before I started traveling. So as a W-2 employee, you do have your taxes withheld from your paychecks. So a healthcare traveler has a variety of incomes that make up their total gross income. So you have an hourly rate, and that hourly rate or wage is taxed. And that is the only wage that shows up on your W-2, except for like if there's anything else that they do tax. Like my current contract that I'm on here in Wisconsin gives me a travel reimbursement weekly for car reimbursement. And it's kind of one of those things that's designed where, if they have extra funds that they can't funnel into the per diems because the per diems were maxed out. Per diem is also called a stipend. So it's just tax-free money. And this is all governed by the government, and information on these can be found on the GSA website, which I will link below. And you should always refer to the GSA website when you are going on a contract or looking at a contract, talking pay packages or anything like that with your recruiter, because you want to make sure that you are getting the most out of that. If they're not giving you your total per diem, where's the rest of the money? If you have a low per diem total and you have a higher hourly rate, then why aren't they putting that in your per diem? And where's the rest of the money? Do you have more money that you could have been receiving? Are they withholding some stuff from you? Anyway, that's a whole different story, and I'll kind of get into a post on that at some point. But I digress. So a W-2 employee will have taxes withheld from their paychecks, and any of the taxed income will be on your W-2. Even though you do get those per diems, those stipends, they will not show up on your W-2 because they were not taxed. At least that's what I experienced so far. Anyway, so if there's anything different, I would love to hear somebody else's experience with that or perspective or knowledge in that area. So when you start to file your taxes, you're going to be filing them in multiple states. So you've got your tax home state, which for me is Oklahoma. And then you have the states that you worked in the last year, which for me is 3 states. So I've got Oklahoma, Missouri, and I've got Wisconsin. So I will be paying taxes on 3 total states for last year, for 2019 tax season. If you work in 4 states in a tax year and you have your tax home, then you'll be paying taxes on 5 states total. You will always be paying taxes on your tax home state, despite whether or not you've worked there, because it is your tax home. So you are paying cost of living, and so you have to pay state taxes there because you reside there. So the tax reform changed some things for us as travelers. So basically, being a W-2 employee can be a good thing versus being the 1099 employee. At first, whenever I first started traveling, I thought that not being a 1099 and being a W-2, I was kind of frustrated because I was thinking, oh, I won't be able to write off any of these unreimbursed job costs. And this is really going to hurt me. I don't know if I can travel. Well, that's so not the case. So I started doing some research on it. And so basically, like the tax reform eliminated being able to claim or deduct unreimbursed job expenses. Is the most simplest terms, I guess, but it still sounds confusing though. So what does that mean for you? It just means that you can't just deduct things like food and entertainment, travel, office supplies, books, vehicle, which would be like actual expenses on your vehicle, like upkeep and all of that jazz, or just like standard mileage deduction from your vehicle. So basically, the standard deduction change that came along with the reform is it increased. So if you file as a single person or married filing separately, then your standard deduction jumps from $6,350 in 2017 to $12,000 in 2018. So if you filed jointly, that standard deduction jumped from $12,700 in 2017 to $24,000 in 2018. So 2019, they had another small increase. So it went up for if you're filing single or married filing separately, then instead of the 12,000 that you saw the year before in 2018, you're going to see 12,200. And same with the married filing jointly, you're going to see 24,400 instead of 24,000. And also if you're filing as head of household, then it's $18,350, just so that you kind of have an idea on some more of those numbers. And I'll post all that in here at the bottom of this video. And I will also be doing a blog post on this, as I had already mentioned. So all of this information is in there. I cannot wait to have you guys be able to utilize the information that is all there for you, quick and simple. So basically, the question that a lot of people have is it better or worse for you to claim a standard deduction versus an itemized deduction? Well, so you think, doing a standard deduction is a disadvantage, but that's not the truth at all. So all it means for you is that you can deduct your expenses without having to prove that you had those expenses. So you can deduct as a single person or married filing separately, and $12,200 is an automatic deduction that you can write off without having to show proof of it. Pretty easy. So you don't have to worry about the receipts, keeping up with the mileage, and all those other expenses and everything like that to show proof of that. Now, do you still want to keep those receipts and keep track of everything? Yeah, absolutely. Because in the off chance that, God forbid, you do get audited, then you want to be able to prove that you had those expenses. So you can prove your rent, you can prove, just the need for those tax-free stipends and the deductions and everything like that. So basically, the big takeaway from that, as a single person, you'll automatically get those deductions without having to prove it. So it makes it so much easier on you guys as far as, filing taxes, if you're filing on your own or if you're having a CPA do it. And I'll kind of get into that, the modes of filing for your taxes as well. So the only downside, though, is that if your expenses do exceed the standard deduction, then you're kind of at a little bit of, not necessarily a loss, because you do have an option. So it just makes it a little bit harder for you, I guess. So you're just going to have to do a little bit more work. Basically, instead of taking the standard deduction, you're going to do the itemized deduction. So you're going to make sure that that is the best route for you, that those expenses that you had in that tax year, you want to make sure that those total up to more than the standard deduction. Otherwise, it's just not going to be worth it for you to go in there and do the itemized deduction. Just because you're a travel healthcare professional does not mean that you have to go through a CPA or do some kind of complicated filing. You can go through TurboTax, you can go through H&R Block. I have heard bad things about H&R Block, but I've also heard really great things about H&R Block. So I can't really speak on that. And if anybody has any kind of opinions or information on that, I would love to hear and find out some more information. I have not done a lot of research into that quite yet. So the cost of H&R Block is going to be a little bit more, from what I understand, than TurboTax if you are wanting to go the route of doing it by yourself. I usually do use a CPA, but I was not able to get back to Oklahoma in order to use my CPA, and also just didn't want to fiddle with having to scan my documents and email them to him and go through all those hoops. I've just been so busy with work and everything with the blog and all that jazz that I just didn't want to mess with it. So I just went the route of TurboTax. So I went on there and I did I think it was like $49.99 for just a basic filing through TurboTax. And so it automatically figures in where your tax home is and realizes that even though you have W-2s from Missouri and Wisconsin, it automatically realizes that despite having those W-2s from other states, it recognizes you as a non-resident in those states and just having worked in those states only. So it will automatically prompt you to file the individual state taxes for those states as well as your tax home state. It's like super easy. So that's kind of the down low on that. I feel like I covered everything. So you're a W-2 employee, not a 1099, and just make sure that you keep track of your expenses just in case, and hold on to those records for at least 7 years is the recommended time. So anyway, I did not have to pay out or anything on my taxes. I actually did get a refund, and I got more of a refund this year than I did last year. So yeah, it's actually pretty simple. So it's nothing to stress about, and it's nothing to deter you from becoming a healthcare traveler. So I hope that all of this information helps you guys. And as soon as my blog launches, then I will be adding the link below to that post that is on all of this information on taxes and answering tax questions for healthcare travelers. So I will be back soon with another video, and I hope to see y'all there. Bye.